Hello everyone and welcome back to another OPTC Cruise video. We're back for two very accessible teams with none of the new batch for the Intrusion against Big Mom. Now I know a lot of people have been having a lot of struggles with this Intrusion. It is very unfriendly towards people without the new batch, just because of all the chain related gimmicks that are on this quest. They are essentially suffocating you on stage 2. Because if you take a look here on stage 2, and on stage 3, we both have a chain minimum attack down of 2.75x and 3x. So, of course, you want to use a chain locker or chain boundary unit to get to that high chain to bypass that as quick as possible. But then, there is an intimidation for 3 turns, stating that if you use a chain lock or a chain boundary effect or a chain boost, it will get reduced by 2 turns. So, you have to use a 3-turn chain locker or chain boundary unit. But not only that, you want your chain boundary effect or chain lock effect to be 2 turns on stage 2 after the intimidation reduces it, because if you don't have a chain lock or a chain boundary going into stage 3, you will receive a 12-turn 1.1x chain lock, which is gonna essentially make you lose the quest guaranteed, because you can't get past the chain attack down, your damage is trash. Yeah, you need to have a chain lock or chain boundary going into the final stage, and to do that you need a 2-turn chain lock or chain boundary on stage 2 at the minimum. Ideally you'd want it to be 3 turns so that it carries over and stays for the final stage to help you with damage to get past the chain minimum attack down, but the bare minimum is that it's 2 turns after the intimidation. So there's not many ways to do that. There's characters like Hikunojo and Izo, which give you a 3-turn chain lock, and with the help of some extension units or ships, we can actually get it to last for the final stage. And we will show that strategy in the second team, which uses characters like Hikunojo Izo, Ryokyugyu, Treasure Map Frankie, and also Nami and Carina. So that is, in my opinion, a better team, just because we get a guaranteed extra drop from Nami and Carina. And also the characters are much more sophisticated, we have more damage, but this team is very accessible. Besides the Treasure Map Legends, of course. The only thing is that you need this ship with modification. You don't need a modification even, you just need level 12. You don't need these effects for bind and attack down reduction, just level 12 to get the effect where if you have every single class, Fighter Slasher, Striker, Cerebral, Free Spirit, Powerhouse, Driven, you have every single class, the ship gives you an extension of 1 turn to your chain boundary and chain locks. So when on stage 2 we use the super swap of Kaku and Lucci and their special to give a chain lock or chain boundary of 2 turns, it will get extended to 3 turns by the ship. Then it will be reduced down to 1 turn with the intimidation. Then we can use Sanji and Frankie's double special activation to extend our chain boundary effect from Kaku and Lucci twice up to a 3-turn, allowing it to last until the final stage and during the final stage. But to have that, you of course need to have Sanji and Frankie's double special activation maxed, and you need to have 4 Straw Hat Pirates tagged units or 6 or more Egghead tagged characters on your crew. The Egghead one is impossible because Sabo Friend Captain isn't Egghead tag unit. Most of the units aren't. So we are going to go with the former option. Now Sanji and Frankie does count as one of those tags. So we only need 3 other characters. We have Brooke, Frankie, and Nami. So with that we get the extension for the chain boundary. And then we use that effect twice on stage 2. It also strengthens the chain boundary, making it even stronger. Now, when it comes to how stage 2 works, besides using the chain boundary effect, we use the super swap of Kaku and Lucci to set the enemy's defense to 0. There is a defense up on stage 2. The enemy does not have immunity to defense down, so we can use that effect. We also get a full board of block orbs, and the enemy has a 2 dex orb barrier. The enemy also has a weakness, or makes your orbs weak, besides Tandem and G. It's only a 30% reduction, so we're just going to ignore that. Our Sabo Friend Captain, he's going to be hitting like a truck anyways. He's a 2.5x stats unit, and of course he has type advantage. So We can also use the special of our Brook to give a increased damage taken to the enemy. We will use Brook again on the final stage for resilience reduction and once again inflicting the enemy with increased damage taken. But for that you need to have his double special activation maxed and make sure he has a Luffy support on him. Any Luffy works. It's just necessary for his special to give the full abilities. And then Nami. Nami is very important. Not only is she the striker unit on our team, but she's also going to give you change block orbs of the adjacent characters into matching. Actually, she's just going to change, yeah, adjacent characters. So your Sabo and your Kaku and Lucci are going to get the Dex orbs. So tap on Kaku and Lucci to start off the chain and then kill with Sabo. He will pierce the barrier and he will deal a lot of damage. Of course, he'll have a matching orb. Unfortunately, we won't get the conditional attack boost from Nami's special because we don't have another, we can't add another Luffy support to her. But either way, as long as we can get past the orb barrier and Sabo can deal damage. So make sure your Nami is in that spot and your Kaku and Lucci is right below her or next to her, either in Brook's spot or where they are right now. Finally, we can also use Jumbe special on stage 2. This will give us an attack boost. It's a very useless special on the final stage because the enemy has intimidation for an attack and orb boost, reducing it by 2 turns. So using Brook on the, Jumbe on the final stage would be pointless. So just use it on stage 2 for an attack boost. You could also add a support maybe for an orb boost. Let me just check who there is available. So unfortunately, there's no other supports for an orb boost, but a 2.5x attack boost is very strong. You'll have the chain boundary from Lucci and Kaku, which will be even stronger with the Sanji and Frankie buffs. And one thing I forgot to mention, you actually can't use Brook on stage 2. The enemy has a 6-turn resilience on stage 3. Brook only reduces it by 5 turns, so you need to use both activations. You can't use one of the Brooks on stage 2. Also, I forgot to mention, but let me just go through all the classes to show you guys that we do have one of every class. We have a fighter in your friend Captain Sabo, a slasher from Brook, a shooter from Sanji and Frankie, a striker from Nami, a free spirit from Brook, a cerebral from Nami, a driven from Lucci and Kaku, and a powerhouse from Jumbe. And of course, our 4 Straw Hat Pirates tagged units from those side characters and Sanji and Frankie themselves. Then on the final stage, so you'll have a 3-turn chain boundary leaving stage 2, which will last for the final stage. The final stage, you can use the special of Sabo to reduce the chain coefficient reduction, allowing you to strengthen your chain further. As for the intimidation, we're actually just gonna play into it. We're not gonna use an attack or orb boost, which is a huge penalty for the damage on this team. But we are still getting a lot of damage from other aspects, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. The enemy is weak to fighters, so Sabo himself will be dealing 2 times extra damage, in addition to his 2 times damage from color affinity. His special will also give us a chain growth rate buff, which will allow us to get to an even higher chain. And that's about it from his special. He requires a lot of tags and other very niche requirements to get the other abilities, but that's all we get from Sabo, and we can't get this effect either. We need too many characters to proc this, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. But you can also use Jumbe's superclass for just giving the superclass effect for an extra 1.5x damage for all of your units, especially Sabo. But that's about it for the team. You'll of course have the 1.5x increased damage taken to the enemy from Brook's special, and you can use any chain boosting support for extra damage. I'm going to talk about the other team in a separate video. This is going on for quite a while. But yeah, you can use someone like Dofi for 8.5 chain boost. You could also use, yeah, that one's not really good. Neither there. I think Dofi is the best one. Yeah, you have to use Dofi if you want a chain boost. But you'll get a really high chain of this team, so that definitely makes up for the lack of attack and orb boost. But yeah, once again, maxed level 12 ship. You don't need any of the mods. I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to like, subscribe. With all that being said, I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out.